Alright, so continuing with this VFC, we have here a very nice 3-bar play-ish structure on the weekly, although we are running into some support and resistance zone, so not really the cleanest of all time. Daily is super nice, very clean. Level, I'd be playing this for one day maybe, but wouldn't swing it because of the weekly resistance. We'll have to check what happened because I'm curious. After this, level's very nice, zoning in on it yesterday, although not much premature after our section, and there were a couple of violations of the level. After that, we were chopping basically all day, just set up a range right on top of that level, so a break and retest of that would, I think, be appropriate to play somewhere around here with a stop around here, and either an end of day target or an ATR based target is perfectly fine. I think 60 cents from low of day, 16.417 would be my target, and it hit that quite easily. We'll have to check what happened on TradingView. Yep, exactly. We just got a 1-day move and then a dump back down, although this seems quite violent. Probably were some user spy action or something around here, because this is a bit too violent, but I don't know, maybe not. Not a lot of volume on these, so maybe no other action involved. Alright, so 1st of August, Nvidia. We've broken down from this range right here, and we are now backtesting it. Not really a big fan of playing these. There is a relatively clear level here, which is nice. 60 dropping quite aggressively, so would need a very solid confirmation to play against this. Usually after some dumb candles like this, we don't get much follow through, unless it's like very slow. But the 9 a.m. candle is actually this one, so yeah, I thought that it was gonna be after this slam down candle, but no. So this is the 9 a.m. candle. After that, I'd be more keen for a double top play, for a short play, but yeah, I just marked this for a long, but definitely not a long. I would just avoid it at this point, because we are stuck between two relatively key levels. Yeah, nothing here. Uber. Alright, so we've tried to break down from here, seemingly. Not sure if we've actually created a new low there. We'll have to check. Yes, we have created a new low and pulled back. Not really my best candidate for a short after a fake breakdown. This range is relatively nice though. Pulled back into that breakdown. Failed first time and then tried to break down, pulled back and then worked the second time. Not many volume cues that I could pay attention to here. Love this mini double top-ish structure. SPY was also on my side intraday, but yeah, it just seems way too off to play for me, because if we break down, we already would have had to make around a $2 move. Can't really count, which is like almost consuming the ATR in its entirety, even though it's a large scale breakdown. I wouldn't really like playing that. Apple. This is this the same date that is portrayed on the daily, the 6th of August? We've gone on to 201. Yeah, it is. Okay. So multiple consecutive candles sell off on the 60-minute, getting more and more extended, although only 2 consecutive candle extension from the 9 EMA. I usually like 3 at least, but 2 is still playable with the right shorter time frame confirmations. Weekly's coming back to back test this area, which is kind of beautiful. Also the 200 whole number level. 15-minute also relatively extended, although we did have a pullback to the 9 right before the open, and we are only one candle away from the 9 EMA. not super nice, but definitely could have had more pullbacks that would have ruined the picture there. 5 minute getting nicely extended, 3 consecutive candle extension from the 9 EMA counting this wick, and the 1 minute was the nicest of all. Would have liked a bit more volume peak. This doesn't signal to me nearly that enough. Oh Jesus. So this is not a significant enough confirmation for me to say that we're gonna reverse on the whole day. Maybe just a little bit back to VWAP, which is where I would have held. This partial should be cancelled out. A clean entry here, stop around here, not even. Well, maybe could have been if I wanted to be more aggressive below this wick, right where I portrayed it on the original write-up, and held till VWAP. But yeah, definitely not longer than that. C. Okay, so we're now dropping largely. Haven't had a pullback since 3 consecutive candles, and even I would dare to say 5, given how we've got these gaps here. So no pullback for a long time. We've got a relatively okay-ish level here around BTC. I'm guessing that's where I zoned in. Yep. Weekly is just coming back into moving averages, and this high, which is quite nice. Yeah, I think a bounce here is relatively, or looking for a bounce here is relatively a good idea. SPY was also on my side intraday. What I'm not really liking is how we have these scattered highs and lows. The level is still nice. We've gone a bit waterfall sell-off into it, but I don't really like playing these on ghost candles like this. So I think I would avoid this trade, or would have avoided, or would avoid if I see it again. But yeah, it's just not really my play here. Don't like the shorter time frame confirmation. So yeah, that's a skip for me. CMG getting quite extended for consecutive candles away from the 9 EMA, although we do have an inside candle here. No resistance here, just a $50 psychological level. We've tried to break down, created a fake ABCD around here, and we've got a super nice level and an ABCD building up to that, touching the 20 before the takeoff. Fortunately, it doesn't coincide, or unfortunately, it doesn't coincide with the 200, but it does coincide with the 50 on the 15-minute chart. So that is relatively nice. We've got a clear top here above our level, so once we clear that level, we also have a clear top that we have to gain. That was formed in pre-market and yesterday's high approximately, so a breakout above that, a retest, clean, very nice. I think about a 50%-ish pullback back into the level and VWAP and 9 EMA. A clean entry here, stop here, just like I portrayed. And since I have my entry set up against a key level on the 60-minute chart, I don't just play for a scalp off of a 1-minute pattern, but I can go for my usual intraday swing targets, which would have been likely around here at the top of this larger 60-minute channel, just like I said here, which is around 54.74, somewhere around here, netting me a really good risk to reward there. SPY was with me, yeah, so that's cool. GM, 1, 2, 3 consecutive candles sell-off and a gap into the 50 MA and approximately the top of this range and this initial support area around here, so that's nice. 200 MA on the daily, and as it could have been seen on the weekly, another little congestion area here on the daily, so that's nice. 3 consecutive candle extension here too. 60's got a very nice level. Unfortunately, we're bopping into some moving averages. I used the 50 as a target here. 20, I'm a bit concerned about 20 and the 9, but since we've got such nice extension on the larger time frames and some larger moving averages that support my direction, I'm not that worried about some 60-minute moving averages. Okay, so we're in a clear level on the 60-minute chart. The 50, the 200, we're coinciding here, so that's nice. A bit weird price action of the open, weird confirmation off of the level, but 5-minute chart's much nicer with this engulfing pattern. So I play the break of this engulfing, put my stop below the level, and I just let it play out until the 50 MA, which, if I'm guessing, it was approximately 80% of the ATR, which would have been 1.2, so this would have been 80% of the ATR. But since this was the initiation, the sell-off initiator point, that usually this is where stocks tend to go to. Plus, as I said, we had the 50 MA here, so that's yet another reason to exit at around 41. It was, yep. Let's just see if it got up any higher. I'm just curious. What was the day? 806. So we got to 41.15. Would not have gotten my full 80% ADR exit, but it got a little bit higher. JP Morgan. Okay, so dropping down, 3 consecutive candle extension into a clear support area. Not a level, unfortunately, but an area still good. A very nice confirmation candle. Not much volume confirmation on that, though. Weekly, not really showing anything significant. So yeah, this is basically the same play as GM on the same day. I'm guessing some stocks were lined up to do the same exact thing. 806. If I just take a look at SPY, yep, it was very, very similar. I think GM was a much nicer look because the level here, although it aligns with BTC and you can tell that this is where the entry would have been, basically the same engulfing confirmation, is just much less clean with some smears of the level. So yeah, GM was definitely superior. That's why I traded it that day. Okay, so NEM, wouldn't even go as far as to say that this is a range structure. Not really sure. I think I just wanted to play this clean level here, but can't really get a bias. I'm guessing I wanted to play for this double bottomish pattern, but I really don't like this fake breakout here. I would just avoid that altogether unless we came down here with multiple consecutive candle extension and played for a bounce back up to maybe 46.60-ish. But yeah, this is just not really ideal. 60 minute. It could be done. So these patterns, when there's like a large candle and then a candle within that, just like we had here, that doesn't quite touch the low, and then we have another candle that goes below, doesn't crack below this candle, but does crack below this candle's low, and then recovers. These tend to be like real nice double bottom patterns, mini double bottom patterns. So could have been played based off of that, but unfortunately we didn't make a new low within this candle. I think the 9 AM candle was actually after that. I'm not sure. Okay, so Roku, we did a fake breakdown of these key levels. Guessing I'm looking for a long here. Previous day closes right around here, but we do have a level above that, so gotta be careful. Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't get much confirmation in pre-market or from yesterday on the 5-minute chart. It's just pretty much a large range, and then we get somewhat of a tighter range here. Maybe breakout from here, but I don't know, the 1 minute just seems very off to me. Would have liked cleaner movement, maybe a cleaner ABCD and then a break, and taking an entry here, stop here. This is just a bit too funky for me. Not a big fan. 807 Tesla. So, okay, not really sure what to make of this. I wanted to play, I'm just guessing a scalp here, so weekly and daily are not so relevant, but they do have a bit of an extension into a level, so a bit more long sentiment, but for scalps it's not the biggest factor. 5 minutes just a bit too all over the place. I'm guessing I was playing for these bounces and maybe a fake break after that, just like we had here, but it was a bit too jumpy, too many levels against me. Yeah, I definitely would not take this one. It did work, but it's just not as clean as I would like it to be currently. CVS weekly, we've broken down from a bigger range, couldn't really get any much further. We got into yet another range with a nice volume signal around here. Yeah, it was a gap down scenario. So we have this range, we fake broke that. I'm a bit more short biased on the weekly, but definitely don't want to be playing it short within the range. So CVS, we're now sitting at the bottom of it, which is the gap down days high as well. So that's a bit interesting. I'm thinking I was wanting to predict this candle by having a fake break after this candle's low. And why exactly? Because we have this very large move down and an insufficient pullback. An insufficient I count as anything that is less than 25 or maybe 20% pullback. And I'm just saying this by looking at the chart, but I'm guessing it's less than that. Let's actually see. So 56, this is approximately 59, 40, 50, whatever. So that's a $3.4 move, and we got up to 56.60ish. So 60 cents on a $4 move is about 15% pullback, so definitely not enough. Unfortunately, for my plan to work, we would have needed a fake break, which we actually got from this pre-market range, but it was definitely not significant enough to take, in my opinion. It did work, did end up working, but yeah. SPY also started rallying around 950, but CVS was already rallying by then. Okay, MRK. We've broken down from range, only candle 1, now we're at candle 2 after the break, back into this level, or these levels. So maybe could expect some support. Daily did have some pullbacks before this, so not the favorite, but we do have around $3 back to the 90 MA, which is approximately 1 ATR. We have this large range, or range plus a level to play. We do have a bit of resistance ahead, but definitely playable. We have to watch out for this initiation sell-off level, which is around 114, but I think by then I would already be out my position. Also this mini candle here. So what it offered intraday was actually a breakout into 114-ish, and then it just came down all the way back to the clear level. Not really my favorite, definitely wouldn't go for an intraday swing, but we did get a bit extended. Would have liked for the 1 minute to accelerate a bit back into this level, so maybe I could have taken it here as I marked back to VWAP. Maybe could have even been taken like this, but I don't really like the fake break, and I don't really like the fact that we're pretty much just parallel with the 90 MA. The level aspect of it is nice, there's no volume confirmation. 15 minutes pretty damn ugly. This was at around 10:07, 10:08-ish, by which time SPY was just cracking up higher. Yeah, I would skip this personally. We ended up just dropping the rest of the day, so this trade basically would have been just a simple intraday overreaction, overreaching point, but didn't really have anything to do with the larger time frame setup, because as I said, after the 114 fake break, or 114-ish area, which is where we got to, it was basically invalidated, and we just ended up chopping most of the day, or most of the morning / opening session. NVAX, so this gap down back to approximately this gap up's low, which was interesting because it was a very high volume day, and high volume days edges tend to be super good levels. So we gapped down there. Unfortunately, we don't really have multiple consecutive candle extension, only one, and even that was quite weird with this double candle that happened, I think, because of this. So what was nice about it was that we had a very clean level in pre-market, which we double fake broke. It was a bit weird, but since we were at a level and somewhat extended, we had around 10.7, 8.7ish, so $2 extension, which is more than the ATR. I was playing mostly for a long So Novavax Thursday cut its revenue forecast for 2024 as it anticipated lower sales of COVID-19 vaccine. Yep, so that's the reason why it got down. I mean, I'm not really sure that that's such bad news. It's definitely bad, but not groundbreaking. So because of that, I think A long is definitely viable. The price action clearly shows that A long is nicer. I like whenever we have in pre-market a peak which has the high of the volume so far, so discounting this or not counting this in. And after that we fail to make a lower low and we just make a higher low. So after that I think this could have been, even just here in pre-market, a great long. But what was nicer about it was that actually we gave a wick out, or it gave a wick out of this level. Could have taken it long around here, a stop around here, and could have just played it for pre-market levels and maybe even back to previous day close, but that was a bit of a stretch, but it did end up reaching that, so maybe could have just left a small portion for that. NEE is again a technical play, very nice weekly, can predict, or yeah, predict. I say that word very, very loosely. It's just based on price action analysis. After like an ABCD pattern on a candle one, you can predict, quote unquote, that it will go yet another candle in the long direction. So can predict one candle to the long direction, very nicely bouncing off of the moving averages. We do have this high to deal with still, but that's still relatively nice. We have a daily range that we have now broken out of and holding the top of, so that's super clean. Unfortunately, the last few days have been very, very wicky, so I'm not expecting anything other than that today. I wanted to play the bottom of this last few days range, but we didn't really get a nice confirmation, only one consecutive candle extension on the 6-minute chart, as well as the other time frames. Maybe the 5 was more, but don't really like counting ghost candles, as I said. So yeah, it did end up working, but I would not have taken it. Got a nice fake break of the range, but intraday confirmation was just insufficient. Dell, we have multiple consecutive candle extension to the downside, and we've also gapped down. Guessing that's what made this higher volume candle possible, although there's definitely not anything significant, as you can see on the daily. So that's a bit off, but I do like how we are near this initiation support level. We have about approximately one candle room back till the ATR. I'm thinking even more, $5.92, and it's approximately at 98, 99-ish. I'd say more 98. So yeah, approximately one ATR back to the 90 MA. That's relatively nice. Since we have an extension, we're at a support level, and we have set up a range, as you can see on the 60-minute chart, which we've now broken out of, set an ABCD on top of it, and the last candle isn't green, so not really a nice confirmation. In these cases, I usually like to get some sort of fake break of a range, which is exactly what happened on Dell, or a fake break out of a range. We set up a mini range in pre-market, which we got a fake break out of. Unfortunately, we have a level that we have to deal with after that, so that's a bit risky. I took an entry as soon as we fake broke the range, set my stop a bit too tight. I think I could have left a bit more room for that, just because pre-market was choppy. Dell usually has a larger spread at the open, but anyway, we fake broke out of this level and then just set up a lower high and bounce back into my level. I thought that it was just gonna chop around all day or maybe get back within this range. But after trying to break the level again, we set up a nice mini 1-minute range, a fake break, and then a break out of that. So I played this yet again, set my stop around here. Unfortunately, we rejected VWAP in this level once more with a mini 1-minute double top, and I just cut my trade. It did end up working, but I think the cut was relatively alright given how difficult the stock was to trade. We had, as I said, this level which coincided with this level in the pre-market. So yeah, it was just, I think, a tough trader at the open. What I could have done was maybe after this trend line got broken, get back in once again, stop below this, and take it back to my target, which was the bottom of this range, which I guess was also, yeah, approximately 9 EMA, a bit below that. SPY intraday was definitely against me, but seeing as SPY started selling off around 9:37ish, and that's where they started dumping to the cut, it made even more sense. But after 9:45 holding, while SPY was selling off like crazy, it was obvious that Dell had relative strength to the SPY. Not sure about other stocks, but I think it was a good candidate. I just could have given it yet another try after the trendline break. Walmart. Okay, so setting up a nice ABCD structure off of the 9. Not sure if it's the best pullback from approximately 59-ish up till 71, so that's about a 12 buck move, and from 71 we came back to 67-ish, so that's $4. So that's approximately 30% pullback, which I'm completely fine with, although I'm not sure. This seems like, I would say, the second leg, so I'm playing for the third leg here, but it doesn't really have any swift moves, so these slow trends just tend to go on for a long time, and leg counting doesn't apply as well to these as to quick movers, in my opinion, so that's even better. Daily sold off very weirdly. We have some lower highs that seem a bit more troubling to me. The level here seems quite nice, some initiation support from this candle, as well as some edge touches around here, so could be played easily, but we didn't actually touch that. Yeah, it's just didn't really get the nice intraday confirmation. Weekly is relatively nice, daily's off, 60's off, and intraday is off as well. It's just an easy no-go trade for me. AAL is relatively extended, needs a pullback. In my opinion, we don't really have anything valid, even though we've somewhat consolidated over this downward, Jesus, that was an amazing drawing, over this downward trend line. I would just be happier with a pullback, and I don't really like to play these without anything else that's confirming me that we could have a pullback right now. So we got a confirmation candle, which is nice, means maybe we could get back to the 9 EMA, and on top of that the confirmation candle was at these support levels on the weekly, so maybe we could just predict, quote unquote, again, one candle to the top side back to 9 EMA. On the daily, it was also a candle. It was the harder prediction model, which is where we don't have a confirmation candle before playing a candle, we just have a rejection, a reverse ABCD. So what I'm trying to do here is get a fake break of this candle and then a reclaim and predict that it's gonna close as a green candle, and after that we get a higher low. We could maybe play another day, yet another day, to the long side. We have a super nice level. Unfortunately, 60 doesn't quite seem ready. Like, after this kind of move out of this range, why would you expect it to get back up, break through the range? The only reason why I would think that is if we had like a super large fake break, got in, and then we could take off to the long side, or more consolidation, which is what happened. But in the second scenario, in the latter, we can't really tell when it's gonna break, only after. So it just chopped around basically 1 minute. It was just way too fucking ugly with these choppy candlesticks, so don't even want to have to do anything with it.